Yeah, I'm just hit 5k, really easy, done on heart rate, 5k, and I can feel my hamstring almost spasming. This is not looking good.
How do you do?
Good morning, team. It is Sunday, which means it's another key workout. Let's have a bit of backdrop and context for this session that I'm going to do. First of all, thanks very much for the community of people watching these videos. Can't believe so many people watch them and make comments. We have a good community, and thanks for the support for you guys. If you're new, thanks for joining. Come back if you like the stuff that we put on here. I'm a duathlete, ex-triathlete, but I'm focusing on running. One of my main targets for 2026 is a Mid-Cheshire 5k, which is on Friday, and it's Sunday today. So I've been building up as best I can. I'm an 80s chap, so I've been training like I'm in the 80s, on the verge of breaking, I think, too intense. So about 3 weeks ago, I decided to try this Norwegian method. So it was only 3 weeks ago, so I'm experimenting, still trying to get used to it. But the idea is, I just don't train at such high intensity, therefore I don't get injured as much. I can train going forward and have some longevity for the whole season. The risk is I'm going to break myself and not even get to the start line of races, as happened last year. So last week on Wednesday I raced a 10k, supposedly at threshold pace, and yeah, it hurt a bit more than I thought it should have done, but I wanted to kind of do some more testing with this Norwegian method. Now I've done a couple more races this year. I did a 5k in 1822 in March. I did a 10k beginning of April in 37:57. So the race last week at threshold was 40 minutes 50 seconds. So I thought I should have been a bit faster. So as I target the Mid-Cheshire 5k, yeah, I don't know what I'm capable of. But the big thing today, it is a test session, because as I finished that 10k race at Clayton on Wednesday, I had some weird sensations and spasms in my hamstring, my left hamstring. Now I have felt a bit of tightness over the last couple of weeks, but nothing I really paid much attention to. But at the end of that 10k race, things just, yeah, it was spasming, and I thought it was just a bit of cramp. So I went for an easy run on Friday, and yeah, I think it's a bit more than cramp. It was really bothering me, even though I was going really, really slow. So I've been giving it some massage, giving it a bit of therapeutic stuff with the massage gun, doing some Nordic lowers controlled, see if I can kind of work whatever weakness there might be in there. And with the Mid-Cheshire on Friday, I wanted to do a test session today to see whether or not it's even worth travelling and getting on the start line, because that's a full bore attempt. I'm going to be hitting paces far, far faster than I was at that 10k on Wednesday. So today I'm going to do a tester session and just see how it is, and it will be my decision marker whether or not I make the start line for the Mid-Cheshire 5k. So what is a session? Well, it is another Norwegian method style session based around the 6 times 6 minutes at sub threshold, where I measure the variables to try and figure out what is a good sub threshold for me, which is a torque test, a heart rate, the pace, and how I feel. All those things kind of come together to try and measure that I'm actually at sub threshold pace. So I'm going to use the 6 times 6 minutes, but I'm going to vary it slightly. I'm going to do 4 reps at 6 minutes, and then for the second 2 reps of 6 minutes, I'm going to do some sets of 45-second accelerations, 15-second rest on the treadmill to build up to overall 6 times 6 minutes. I'm going to use the course I've done before, the 1500 meter reps outside for those 4 reps, but I'm going to dial it back by pace. So it wasn't that long ago I did the 6 times 1500, and I was dipping under 340, 341, 342 pace, which was obviously not Norwegian method. That's kind of pushing it hard. So let's see how I get on with this session, and we'll report back on how the hamstring is. Right, warmed up on the treadie. I could feel the hamstring, but I didn't have spasms or anything, so I'm a bit more hopeful than I was. I thought it was going to be dire. So let's start 4 times 6 minutes, sub threshold. The first rep is going to be taking it steady, even steadier than sub threshold, just to see what the sensations are. And I'm not using plated shoes, and I've got, yes, an armband heart rate monitor for more accurate heart rate. So this is a bit of a tester warm into the session, only 4 times 6 minutes. So one of the checks and the variables for this kind of sub threshold is being able to talk, the talk test. So yeah, this is about right. String a few words, short sentences, heart rate's creeping up. Rep 1, 3:58 pace, heart rate maxed out, I think, I have to check, around 146, which is a bit low, but that's often the case. It takes a while for heart rate to ramp up, and it's applying all the variables, and the talk testing how I felt was the main one on that rep for me. Subsequent reps, I like to think the heart rate would catch up and be a bit higher. Pace wise, that's probably on the high end. Just mix them all together, isn't it? What about the hamstring then? Yeah, I felt it, but not as bad as I thought it would be. See what our next rep's like. No point in mashing myself today if there's a chance of racing on Friday and a bit more recovery in between now and then. So need to be wise. So rep 2, yeah, I suspected the heart rate. That was second rep into the session. It was good, about 148 to 152, which is exactly where I needed to be. But the hamstring is getting tighter. I'll do another rep and see if I can dial it back further, because the talk test perceived effort around 3:58 pace feels a touch on the high side, even though the heart rate is right. As I said, it's about blending all the variables, and I think talk test and feel is probably the most important. Learn it, learn how it feels. A bit too hard. Rep 3 done. I did dial that back, and by the heart rate it was just a few, maybe 2 or 3 beats less overall, but perceived effort was, I don't know, a few percent less. Probably about the right zone, which came out about 404, 405 pace. So I may have run the first 2 a bit quick, but the hamstring is getting progressively worse each rep. So I've done 3 reps, 4.5k, sub threshold pace. I don't want to risk it anymore, to be honest. I think another rep would see it getting worse still. So I don't really know what to do now about Friday. Right, so I just went through 6 minutes worth of 45 seconds on, 15 seconds off continual. Really like that dynamic. It suits my mindset. It makes me really engaged. Heart rate was creeping up, so the 6 minute was pretty much like the outside 6 minute continuous. The more you do, the more you get towards the target kind of intensity that you want to record in terms of heart rate anyway. And then all the other variables that I spoke about were about right. So definitely a session to take forward, and you could do, I don't know, 20 minutes of that in sets of 5 minutes perhaps, and it would be a really, really good session on its own. But the hamstring was just getting tighter and tighter, bit into my glute at the top and then down the whole body of the hamstring. So the jury's out for Friday. I was going to make a call today, but at the moment it's not looking so good. But there was a slight improvement from when I ran easy on Friday, so maybe if I just give it some rehab, see where I'm going to go, make a really late call on whether I'll do the Mid-Cheshire 5k on Friday. It's really annoying because it's such a good race, but I don't want to travel there and end up crawling around and ruin my whole season either. Let's see where I go. Any advice, put it in the comments. See you in the next video, whatever that looks like.